Welcome to episode 64 of the Get Well With Me podcast. I am your host, Adrianne, and it's all about excellence, not perfection. Together, we explore the power of our unconscious mind while taking steps towards a healthier lifestyle. And today's topic is children and hypnosis. When are kids in hypnosis? Well, kids are in hypnosis all the time, 24/7, until about the age of 5. They will believe whatever you say. They are in that state of mind where there is no critical factor there to help them to filter and decipher. They truly believe what they are told. So, what does that mean? It means that we need to be really careful with what we say around kids, because if we say, oh, he's a little tear, or he's a picky eater, or he only eats chicken, or oh, she's so shy, then that is exactly how they will identify and the behaviors that they will continue to exemplify. So let's be so careful with words around kids. If we are in earshot of a child, we want to speak in a way that it affirms their confidence. So for a shy little girl, say she's confident, she's just taking a little time to warm up. We don't want them to believe that they're shy for their whole life, because that is going to affect a lot of the progress and success that they want to have in life. And they may not even realize why they can't speak in front of people, or why they feel inadequate in, certain crowds and things. And they don't realize that by the age of 2 or 3 that they have been told or heard over and over again about how shy they are. Or grown-ups that don't eat their vegetables. I always think that is such a childhood thing. It's like, so what you don't like something? At a certain point, you grow up and you realize that it's good for you and you do it anyway. But there are so many adults that are just like, broccoli, ew, gross. It's programming from childhood, and it's quite apparent to anyone who knows how the mind works. So we want to use this superpower that children have, which is being in hypnosis all the time. That's why they're able to learn so fast. That's why they're able to play imagination and have it seem so real, but yet not be attached to it. That's why they're able to learn multiple languages at a time, because they are in that creative hyper absorption state where they're just taking it all in. So we do want to be careful with our words, but we also want to use that superpower to empower the kids. We want to make sure that we are affirming their confidence and putting ideas in their head that are helpful and telling them hypnotic stories. So hypnosis for kids, I don't work with kids personally. However, I use a lot of conversational hypnosis with children. Every time I interact with children, I am hypnotizing them. And it's just because I realize that I am. You are too. As an adult, every time you interact with a child, you are hypnotizing them. That affirming look that you give them, or that gentle smile, or those kind words, you are responsible for programming their system, the operating system that they're going to run on for the rest of their lives. So it is a superpower, and one that we can impart to them by programming them with the right things. Now, there's a lot of topics for children and hypnosis, and I could recommend some practitioners if you do have an issue that you think that would be helpful. Children are not my area of expertise. However, for instance, one of the ways that I always hypnotize important children in my life, or any children in my life, is when they get a boo-boo. I always remind them, look, it looks like it's getting better already. You're a super fast healer. Oh my gosh, they always want to show you the burn that they got last week. And I always point out how well it's healing and how fast it's healing. And I always remind them, healing is the only thing that your body knows how to do. As soon as there's an injury, the only thing it knows how to do is get better. So there is power in that kiss on that boo-boo. There is power in the words. Your reaction to a spider will in the future be your child's reaction to a spider. So if you say, not a big deal, we're so much bigger than them. Look, we can let them outside, or we could squish them with our shoe. It's going to help them for the rest of their lives to feel empowered and to realize the truth that they are bigger than the spider. So it really is exciting that we have that superpower to affirm that, wow, you're so resourceful. What a creative mind. You're an artist. I know you'll always continue to make good art. And letting kids know it's okay to mess up and things don't have to be perfect. This is a little bit of the programming that I try to employ. Well, I did in my own child and my nieces and nephews. And like I said, other kids who I adore and love. I always want to build up their unconscious mind with programs that are going to help them forever. So hypnotic bedtime stories are a great way to do that. And as a parent, if you have the opportunity to tuck your kids in at night, I just want to encourage you to do that for as long as you can. Like, I could cry right now thinking about how special those bedtime routines are. Maybe you can think fondly of one that you had when you were a child, or maybe you weren't so lucky that you didn't have a happy, healthy bedtime routine. But it is really special and it goes away really quick. Like one day they just don't need you anymore. Sorry. I used to like to tuck in my son like a hoagie. I would just kind of scoop up his feet and I would tuck him in and I was, joke around that, that I was a hoagie. It's so silly. If you're not from South Jersey, you probably don't know what a hoagie is, but it's a sub sandwich. So as a point of reference. Anyway, it's amazing. A bedtime routine, your child is in an enhanced trance state. So if they're little, they're always in a trance state. But as they get a little bit bigger and you still have the opportunity to pick them, to tuck them in, you can use that opportunity to say things to them that you want to go into their minds, that you want to program their minds and their hearts forever and ever. That's why prayers at bedtime are popular, or devotionals at bedtime, or a bedtime story. And my mom always used to say, so what's the moral of the story, right? Like, what are we learning from this? And it's a great way to program children with, think of like your subconscious mind like a cell phone. Okay, so if your mind is a cell phone and it has all of these apps running on it, we can install the apps that are going to be the most helpful. And with hypnosis as a tool, we can actually go back and delete or upgrade apps. So if an app is no longer helpful to us, we don't want it just spinning in the background, taking up space, using up all of our bandwidth. And I mean that in our minds or on our phones. So we want to clean things up. And hypnosis is a great way to clean things up. And when we can see in a child that they have a program that's working against them, God forbid they start saying things like, I'm not a good sleeper. If they are saying those things, they probably heard it from you. And whether it's true or not, affirming that they are a good sleeper, that they have had a good night's sleep before, that they will have a good night's sleep again, that they do well with routine, or whatever it is that is going to be helpful for them to believe. These are the words that we want to say to them, and that we want to. I was a big eavesdropper. Personal note, as a young child, there wasn't anything on TV. We had an antenna. There wasn't a whole lot to do, right? So I love to sit around and listen to my mom on the phone, because that was more interesting than a soap opera. I knew everything about everybody in the family and all the friends circle. And I just that was my thing. I don't think I realized that I was listening, but I do know that if my name came up, I was tuning right in. And what was said about me stuck with me. So if you're in earshot of a child, use that as an opportunity to speak positively about them. And, maybe save those conversations where if you are having difficulties, or there is something, that needs to be addressed, or that you feel you need to vent or discuss, to do that in a time when your kids can't hear you. Now, I am all for being honest and open with children, and I'm not suggesting that you overly shelter them from, what's going on in family affairs. But when it comes to something that's personal about them and how they're going to identify, we want to really say those empowering words, because we create with our words, our written words, and even more so, our spoken words. They carry a power and an energy, and especially for someone who is in a hypnotic trance. And as we've mentioned, kids are always in a trance. It's just the very nature of their brain waves are in a trance-like state all the time. So hopefully that is super helpful for you. Maybe I pointed out some things that you just hadn't thought of before, and you realize now that you can program your kids at bedtime. I want to use a little example. I have a book here. It might be one that you're familiar with. Waddy Piper is the author, and it's The Little Engine That Could. And it's a great example, right? Like, I know that if you were read this book as a child, you're already saying the hypnotic magic words. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And I use that to this day. Like, if there is something hard, I say, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And you know what the most beautiful thing is? At the very end of this book, The Little Engine That Could says, I knew I could. And what did that engine do? Did the impossible thing, the hard thing. And it had a purpose, right? So that's the other thing. We want to tell kids why. They say, why? Why? Well, they need a reason why. And just like this book, The Little Engine That Could, he wasn't all about, going over that mountain and struggling and huffing and puffing for no reason, but it was because the little engine that could knew that there were boys and girls on the other side of the mountain that were waiting for all the toys and treats that the little engine was going to bring. And the mantra of this book is, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it's beautiful. So if you need to give a gift, it's a beautiful gift, this book. It's still in publication. And it's a gift every time you read this book to a child, right? And there's a lot of great books like that. There's a lot of great books that carry a beautiful message that can program a child's mind. And hypnotic stories is a great way to do that. So on my website, there is a tab that says Shop Our Sponsor. And our sponsor is Uncommon Knowledge Hypnosis Downloads. And they have a whole section of hypnosis for kids. So if you can imagine tucking your little one in at night and telling them that there's going to be a special bedtime story, and you pressed play on whatever device, this can really help them. So I'm going to read you some of these titles. I have them here on my computer screen. So Confidence for Children, Eating Healthy, Improving Concentration, or some of the really hard things that maybe we don't know how to address, like losing a grandparent or a parent. Or maybe you're noticing that your kid is struggling with some anxiety issues. They can show up pretty young, just about as soon as that conscious mind starts to really kick in, and they have questions that maybe they don't have answers to, or maybe they're interpreting things in their environment that aren't settling well with them. So these hypnotic downloads can be super helpful. I'm going to read a few more. Fear of the darkness, making friends, loss of a pet, being the new kid in school, not invited to a party. I should probably listen to that. I hate to miss out, so I get my feelings hurt easy if I think I'm missing out. Overcoming teen anxiety, practicing an instrument, separation anxiety, the shy child, which we've spoken about, stop thumb sucking. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the stop thumb sucking. When you do that, if you choose one of these downloads, if you were to go to my website and you click Shop Our Sponsor, you'll be linked up to a whole list of hundreds and hundreds of different downloads that are helpful. These are simply hypnotic recordings. And if they're designed for a young child, they're going to sound like a story. So a hypnotic bedtime story to help them fall asleep, to stay asleep, right? To learn to sleep in their own bed. And there'll be a lot of information there. There's even a sample. So if you want to hear kind of like what the background music and the hypnotic voice sounds like, you can check it out there. So just to recap, children are precious gifts and they have precious minds, and they come like a brand new iPhone with only very, very few default settings. And you, the grown-ups, are installing the programs. So we want to be really careful and watch our words and put really good programs in there because they're in hypnosis all the time. And if you can imagine how susceptible they are to programming in their waking hours, can you even imagine how susceptible they are in that trance-like state at bedtime? So use that time to affirm your love and a strong, confident identity into the young ones. And check out I'm going to link up actually on this episode. If you are watching or listening to this podcast, I'm going to put a special link in there called Hypnosis for Kids, and it'll link directly to the page with all of the options. So perhaps, bedwetting or thumb sucking or some other habit that you kind of want to nip in the bud before it stays with your child forever, these will be a great resource for you. So I know that's exciting, right? Like you can do hypnosis with kids. We have to realize kids are always in hypnosis, right? That's why it's so easy to convince them of what happens on certain holidays. So I want to just leave with you the power that you have in your words with everyone, with your life, with designing your life, but also with helping to craft a strong, positive, healthy identity in your kids. And as they experience hiccups and, bumps in the road along the way, this is a tool, a resource for you that you can go to. If you do have a really personal issue that you feel is maybe over and beyond and, requiring a breakthrough, especially for teenagers, maybe they do need to talk to somebody, just reach out to me and I can connect you with a hypnotist that's in my professional circle that I know specializes. And that email's AGE, at adriannehart.com. And until next time, much love.